Hey, everybody, welcome back to Old Dudes New Tricks. And I have Gary here with me, and I also have Darrin Isham. And it's nice to meet you, man. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Hey,
Gary was telling me a little bit about you. A 25-year Navy veteran, Navy SEAL. But one thing he did tell me about it that really struck interest. You're in a band.
I am, yes.
I mean, come on.
Soldier to rock star.
The time I spent in the Navy, I could play a little bit of music, but nothing to where it's like I could get out and be in a band. I mean, how did that happen?
Yeah, it's quite interesting, actually. So I grew up in a household of musicians. My mom and dad are both very accomplished musicians, but my naval career took me away from playing music. And then after my last deployment in Afghanistan, actually, quite a few neighbors started this garage band in the neighborhood, and it was a bunch of middle-aged men like myself. And I was like, yeah, I play keys a little bit, And so we started this neighborhood rock band. And through that, the band efforts kind of grew. I was in a couple other bands. I picked up bass because there was no bassist. I learned I'm a self-taught bassist. And after a while, I kind of got tired of the garage band scene and decided to bridge my passion for music with the Phoenix Patriot Foundation, which is a wounded veteran organization. And I had inspiration through Gary Sinise, who I know personally, and talking with him and seeing what he's done with the Lieutenant Dan Band. I wanted to try to replicate that with our foundation. So I created the band as a marketing platform and as a mechanism to promote and raise funds for the foundation. So what started as, I played keyboard on a weekend has turned out to be a full-fledged project that's growing rapidly and then doing great things for the veterans. So we're pretty honored for that.
That's awesome. I went back and when Gary told me that, I kind of researched it a little bit, and I heard your Never Quit song. And,
yes.
And I was like, man, they sound like a professional band.
they're good.
Yeah, that's the old band. Yeah, so we it's pretty funny. So I've been playing bass for about 5 years now, and I've played piano and keys off and on over the years. But while I was playing Soldier, everyone else in the band are 20, 30-year musicians that were professional musicians. So I brought in a really class act of true patriots, and that could bring the quality of musicianship and showmanship to really bring a great veteran themed show for the foundation. So we're actually pretty excited. Heading to Vegas a week after next to accept an award on behalf of the band. And so we're pretty honored we'll be at the Hard Rock Live on the 23rd, and the band's getting an award for Community Impact Award. And Never Quit was one of the songs that we wrote a while back to as a promotional effort for our jet ski event that we do with the foundation. So
That's awesome.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I actually have that song on my iTunes, so I uploaded it or downloaded or whatever. You downloaded it, and I have it. So I've had it for a while. Do you have a new version of it? I got this probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, that's the only recorded version.
Okay.
With the new group of musicians, we played a little differently. But honestly, we haven't played it in a little while, so we'll have to add that back to the show. But we do a lot of different events. So when we're playing veteran related events, we have a kind of a dedicated 2-hour show, and we pick songs that have veteran themes associated with them. We do the national anthem, rocked up version, inspired by Madison Rising, which is another great band, very patriotic. So we do that. And we actually opened up for the Gary Sinise's Foundation 5K run event and played the national anthem at that not too long ago. So we're pretty honored to do that. When we play some of the local bars, local venues to promote what we're doing, we do a lot of different country, rock, classic, modern, some dance stuff, a little bit of funk. So it's a pretty well-rounded group.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're involved with the USA Cares Foundation. Have you heard of that out here in Kentucky?
Yeah.
Yep. So I'll talk to him and see if we can get you guys out for the gala next year. That would be awesome.
That would be outstanding.
We try to get a veteran band out there, so that would be you guys would be a good bet.
Yeah, we term it a veteran themed patriotic show. That's kind of what we do. And it's all about veterans causes, and it's great to see. So there's only 3 veterans in the band, and the rest are civilians. But really, the civilians on and off stage working with the veterans, it's a great thing. So it's really a service-oriented band that not only performs on stage, but really spends a lot of time with veterans off stage and helping them. So it's turned into a great family, actually.
That's awesome.
Why don't you explain for people who aren't familiar with your foundation, what the Phoenix Patriot Foundation actually does, and how they help some of the wounded warriors out there? Because it's a great charity. I've donated to it, belong to it. I think it's a fantastic foundation. So,
Yeah, so we were deployed to Afghanistan 2009 through 2010, and we had one of our platoon OICs. Actually, it was our first turn of ROP. Unfortunately, stepping on IED, and out of that lost both legs. And through his recovery process, back then there was a service void in service, lack of service, helping double amputees. And really, if it wasn't for the nonprofit sector, we all know that there would be a lot of deficits there. So my other officer that took over for Dan, who was wounded, decided to create his own foundation to directly support post 9/11 wounded and injured veterans. So once he did, I immediately stepped on board and volunteered in a variety of capacities. And really what it is, it's an organization of warriors helping warriors, veterans helping veterans. So that's the first thing. We make sure we have a good group of veterans that have walked the same footsteps on the battlefield, been in the same situations, that can relate to these veterans that are in need. And it goes along the other side too. These veterans relate to us. They're more willing to open up to a fellow veteran that's been through, similar, same experiences. And then what we do is we enable the passion. So really, it's whatever the veteran's interested in, wants to pursue. We create opportunities for that, just to really provide something positive, positive impact on their lives, as well as just really the value of spending time with other veterans, and that healing process takes care of itself with that demographic, people that you can relate to.
how do people? We'll put it in the end note, in the notes and everything. But how do people, if they want to donate or they want to contribute to the foundation, how do they get in touch with email, website, or how do they get in touch with it or donate?
Yeah, so we have a website. The foundation is a national foundation, 501c3. We're headquartered here in Temecula. It was founded in San Diego area, but phoenixpatriotfoundation.org is the main website for the foundation. The band has its own website, phoenixpatriotband.com. And again, the band supports fundraising efforts for the overall foundation, but it also facilitates the music program. So the foundation has quite a few programs that veterans can participate in depending on what they need. And sometimes we have veterans participate in multiple programs. And recently we did a custom guitar building workshop, which is the first one we've ever done. So we partnered with the STEM initiative and the Guitar Building Institute. And we also combined our craftsman program with woodworking skills. And we had a 3-day workshop where these vets came in. 2 of them don't even play guitar. And they built this completely custom guitar that we had in laser engravers. So they all laser engraved different military logos, whatever they wanted to, on the guitars. And we had an event last night where we presented the guitars officially to them in front of the public up in Marietta, California at a bar. So great event. And it was really awesome to see the experience come together and these veterans really connect and get a lot out of it. It's the trend we're seeing is, a lot of the wounds are not visible, and we all know that. And really that enduring commitment to help post-traumatic stress. We don't personally view it as a disorder. It's something that people experience when you're put in situations that you find yourself that there is no normality with it, and you just need other veterans helping each other. And again, for that, the workshop was really just a mechanism. It was really designed to just have veterans help each other and accomplish something, learn a new skill, but really a lot of new relationships are forged out of that. So great couple of days there.
Now, how do some of the wounded veterans, do you guys go out and find them? Do they find you? How does that interaction take place?
Yeah, so it's a great question. It happens in a lot of different ways. Really, it's just based on personal networks. So we've had people through other people that we've mutual that have heard about the foundation. They've contacted us directly through the website. They're on the homepage. There's an area where veterans can inquire about our program, areas of help that they're interested in receiving. But also we've had a lot of referrals. We have a great relationship with the Veterans Administration, Loma Linda, And we've had quite a few referrals from them. As a matter of fact, we had one of the veterans in the workshop recently that we mentioned. That was a VA referral. So that's great to see out here in Southern California.
Oh, that's interesting. I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you if you guys work hand in hand with the VA at all, and if there's a relationship. Okay.
Yeah, and there's a lot of relationships with the city council in Temecula, for instance. Again, the foundation does work. We have 2 other hubs, one in Atlanta, one in Houston. They're pretty active right now. And, we've partnered with all of the other VFWs, other nonprofits that are, VSOs, veteran service organizations. And that's really what it takes is, several organizations coming together to really see where they can help someone. And, we've canvassed the veterans that we've helped. And that's a typical situation where you'll have 2 to potentially 5 organizations helping one individual, and everyone brings what they can, to help that veteran. And that's something that's great to see. So, again, we focus long-term commitment. We've worked with veterans 2 to 5 years. The foundation's about 7 years old now, and we're still working with veterans that we'll work with. They're good for a while, and sometimes they come back and they're in a different place in life again.
Yeah.
And they need someone. So we're not a fire and forget organization. We're here for long term. So we've had some people come back and needed more involvement. Sometimes they just want to help out. They want to help out these programs that they've been through with other veterans. And a lot of the veterans that have been through the programs have actually referred other veterans. So, and sometimes it's just an afternoon. They just need to hang out with someone, be able to talk to them. We've done performances with the band where they've just come out, listen to the band. We talk during the breaks. Sometimes we like to call them up on stage and recognize them in front of the public, which I think is important. And it's working out pretty well for us anyways from what we're experiencing.
So when you have your events, when you have, either the band playing or you're at, I know you've done many wineries and stuff because that's what Temecula is known for. Is it open? Are these open events? If you're a veteran, you can just show up kind of thing, or is it an invite only? Do they need to register?
Yeah, these are all public events that the band performs at. And the other events that the foundation's involved with, some of those are, you have to sign up, and then they're conducted in front of the public, like our jet ski program. A couple of years back, we went from Key West all the way up to New York City, 1,600-mile transit with several wounded veterans. It was a week-long adventure, but everyone got a lot out of it, and it was amazing to watch these veterans overcome challenge, physical disability, and really just have an opportunity to feel like a warrior again, and have something that they were set to accomplish. So, it's pretty amazing. We had the band go from Temecula to Miami and back a couple of years, where we helped promote a veteran and their album project. As a matter of fact, Brad, who's a USMC veteran, former Marine, is actually going to be performing at that Vegas event for the award show that we're going to be at. So we were fortunate to get him as the opening act for this huge award show on the Strip. So we're pretty glad about that one.
Awesome. So if a veteran is listening right now to this podcast or watching the podcast, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you if they would like to take part in that organization?
Yeah, so definitely visit phoenixpatriotfoundation.org. Look through the website. You'll see a variety of programs. Each program page has contact information. If you just have a general inquiry, that's on the homepage as well. But when you navigate the website, you'll find different areas of interest potentially. And that's all you have to do is contact the number, and then we'll do the rest, and we'll see where we can to help. So we're a medium-sized organization. We don't have, millions of dollars, so we are resource constrained. So we do look at where we can help people and what that engagement is. And we've been contacted by vets that sometimes we couldn't help out for a couple months later. The engagement took that long, but once we were able to get in a position, we ran with it. So, but there's a lot of events going on. The music program pretty much focused in SoCal right now, but we have gone out of state to support other initiatives, which I'd like to do again here in the near future. But yeah, we'll definitely have people contact the veterans of interest. So.
Yeah, it's a fantastic foundation. I mean, Darrin have had long talks about this. It's trying to help out and support the veterans because, the VA's there, but for a veteran, it's better for them to be around other veterans, I've noticed, and people in similar situations. They just come out more. The VA can be more of a kind of a more cleansed environment, I guess is the best way to put it. It's more sterile. And I've noticed that when you get veterans together and they kind of get together in a group, that they open up, and they start talking more and they're more comfortable in that sense. And that's where these foundations are so powerful. Anyone, all three of us have been in the military, and not at obviously me and Chambers, not the level as Darrin was, but it's the camaraderie that you get out and you get away from, and you miss it, and you're used to being around with a group of guys or gals now. And, it's weird. It's hard to explain to people when you're in these groups what the feeling is. I had it in law enforcement too, on the federal side. It was you traveled around as groups, you spent more time with them than your family. And so you got to know these people, and they become honestly your family. And once especially for the guys who get injured, getting out and losing that family, and now they're trying to find their way and going, would you talk about, the difficulties and maybe how you help people, and what even heck, all of us have dealt with going from, a different type of life into the civilian life, and that transition for a veteran, and talk about some of the difficulties that they face and ways that they can get help or find groups to get associated with, even outside your foundation.
Yeah, I think you hit a great point there. Most people that are serving, that's what they want to do, and they worked hard to get to that point, and that's the profession of choice and career that they've decided to choose to pursue. And when they get injured, and they transition and they move away, not by their choice, from something that they really worked hard to achieve and attain, that's a difficult position to be in for people. It's like a doctor working hard, and then all of a sudden he's not going to be a doctor, and what do you do? So you look at your interest and maybe what you're capable of doing. A lot of people we've worked with have had interim jobs, or they're not in a position where they can be employed. So yeah, there are a lot of resources. I recommend definitely working with the veteran, the VA system as best you can. And we all know that there's difficulties there. I hope that it's getting better in certain areas. And I think it is. But yeah, there's a lot of nonprofits out there. And again, we've partnered with a lot of great ones. Like I said, Garrison East Foundation is a big one that we've partnered with. We have a lot of other local ones. Your common, your VFWs, American Legions, great starting points. And again, they actually have a lot of associations with a variety of nonprofits in their local communities. They could certainly point in the right direction, see what opportunities are out there. And that's one thing we do too, obviously job placement, we tap into our personal networks. We have a pretty good group of employers that can definitely try to help a veteran get employed. And, that's the first step, is providing stability in someone's life, and again, if the veteran's in a situation where they're not ready to be employed, then, that's where I think the nonprofits can really help too, is get them involved in the program, make them productive somehow. Yeah. And really spend time with other veterans. It's a lot of great time for self-reflection, to see where they can go in life. And, they want to be productive. Everyone that's serving the military, first responders, it's a life of service to the communities that you're serving for. So you want to be productive. It's hard to move away from that when you really are a person that's built to serve. So yeah, and the civilian life is so very, very different. And that's, I think, yes. As you know, Darrin recently retired. I was at his ceremony. It was quite an event. And, but even, understanding that, and that's where I would hope for even if you're not in the military, as a general person, how important it is to donate to these associations and charities, because it's hard for the average citizen to understand that transition. And I've had people ask me, they go, well, I was never in the military, I don't understand. I go, exactly. And I'm not saying it in a negative way, but it is a sense of commitment. None of us did it for the money. None of us did it, most of us did it to serve our country. And we take, you kind of get that taken away, and you're back out in the normal world, and you feel lost. You're kind of like, well, what do I do now? And how do I contribute? How do I get back into the swing of things? And if you're coming in with a major disability, it's even that much harder. And to get programs and get the help you need, if you're majorly disabled, it's not cheap.
to have a house that has been retrofitted for you, that is expensive. And these veterans, they don't make a lot of money, and they can't just turn around and retrofit their house on their own. If they're a W amputee or something, or they're confined to a wheelchair, it's impossible for them to afford it. That's why these organizations are so important, and that the funding's there. Not only that, but these organizations like yours make a conduit in between the companies that can retrofit the house, can retrofit the vehicle, and get it done cheaper, than if they had to go out and jump out. Anyone who understands a disabled vehicle, getting it changed over for a wheelchair, holy cow, it is the price of a Ferrari. I mean, it is no joke. It is super expensive. So
yeah, it's technology that's not readily available, so the price point's pretty high on projects like that.
Oh, very high. And that's what I want people to understand is, they say, hey, you got the VA, you've got this, you got that. And I go, you don't understand. The VA isn't going to come out and give you a $150,000 car or something. It doesn't work that way. They do the best they can with their limited funds too, and what they can do. So it's these other organizations, I call them gap fillers in a way. You're trying to fill that gap between the VA and the veteran, basically, and give them that piece in the middle that they're missing. And it works really, really well. And I know I'm very appreciative of all the stuff you've done. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of all these charities and what they do. And I try and help out as much as I can. And I need to do more, actually. I try, but I get caught up in my life and I forget. I think that's one thing I want to reiterate too, is we're all busy, but just find a little time. And even if it's not for a veterans group, I'm a firm believer in giving back, charity, period. It doesn't matter what it is. So yeah, it's, I got on my soapbox there, but yeah, it's very important, I think, to all of us right here. Transitioning from that, what are you guys got going in the future a little bit? Kind of going, what is the direction of the Phoenix Patriot Foundation? What do you see in the future? And is there anything going on that you'd like to announce? Any events, anything like that?
Yeah, so again, it's a national organization, so we have a variety of hubs that we try to operate out of. But the hope is to grow one day to potentially include chapters, where we can have more effect on local communities. But we recently stood up in Houston the first PPF, Phoenix Patriot Foundation shooting team, and we have a shooting program now. So kind of like the band as a marketing platform on the music side, there's a shooting team that's doing that. And it's a team that's made up of all veterans, and they shoot certain matches and tournaments, promote the foundation. And again, that's another vehicle to outreach and find new veterans to potentially help. So that's a very new program, and they have quite a few matches that they're going to be conducting this year. And I think there's a big event, I believe in April, maybe May timeframe. They're solidifying that. But again, the website will have all the latest on that.
Okay.
If you're in SoCal, the music program, I'm the music program manager for that, and the band leader for Phoenix Patriot Band. We got a lot of different things going on. You get on the band website again, phoenixpatriotband.com, and just see all the upcoming events. But, we were fortunate to perform in all the major veteran events in the Inland Valley Empire area, which includes Temecula last year. And we were pretty honored to really, bring all the VSOs, all the veterans in the community together, and just put on a great rock show. And again, it's the time off stage, the interaction that you have with all these veterans. That's just a great thing. And it's a big form of healing, and these people need that. We all need that at some point.
Yeah, I highly recommend people go see Darrin's band when they're out, because I'll tell you what, I've been to a couple times when you've played, and it's a blast. I mean, it is a good time, and you don't see one person out there not smiling. I mean, it is just a really good time. And like I said, I highly recommend if you're in the area, or heck, even if you got to drive a little bit, maybe it's a 4 or 5 hour trip, I'd say it's well worth it to come out. And and you guys are a good band because you play all the music I grew up with, so I like it personally,
Nice.
For kind of tell people, because we may have skipped a little bit, and I know people always want to hear this, but if you can give the canned version, of what a SEAL is and what they do, because I think there might be a little confusion with stuff on TV and all that, and all the TV shows these days, so they can kind of understand your background and where you're coming from.
Yeah, so special operations in general has come a long ways and has formalized and restructured over the years. But Special Operations Command obviously is the headquarters element where all special operations forces fall under. Each branch of service has its own soft force, but really the Sierra and Land SEAL teams is the maritime component for that, and the bread and butter teams is obviously operating in the maritime environment. But we all know, as of late, the SEAL teams have been pretty employed in both Iraq and Afghanistan. A couple other areas that have been in the the news and the media. But essentially, it's you have some overlap with other special operations forces, and we'll work together. I've served with other branches of service and their soft units on the battlefield, and we both bring our own mirrored capabilities and unique capabilities to affect that desired outcome that we're trying to achieve for the campaign. But yeah, I spent 25 years, literally joined 5 days after high school, age of 17, for the DIFER program, and just had aspirations to want to be in the SEAL teams. I was very water oriented. This was 89, and they definitely had a reputation for being one of the best. It's just something I wanted to strive to be part of, and I was able to get my trident. Once you get your trident, you're an official SEAL. At the young age of 18. So I was one of the younger SEALs to actually be awarded the trident. And to be honest with you, did not expect to spend a career at it. At the 10-year mark, I wanted to get out, pursue federal law enforcement, either Secret Service or FBI. And just as fate had it with life, I just busy. We all get soaked up in our daily routine, and next thing I know, 25 years later, it was time to retire. So, I was fortunate to conduct 5 combat tours. I've had a lot of teammates conduct, almost 3 times that amount, believe it or not. So, but yeah, I was fortunate to definitely conduct quite a few operations on behalf of the nation, and just serve with a great group of individuals that make up a great team, a highly effective team. And, special operations, we're doing the missions. They're just specialized. The conventional units have their mission sets. I've worked with a lot of conventional units. We've augmented them to provide specialized capability, and they've augmented us to provide the capabilities that we will not replicate. So it's really been, I think, a good marriage. And you've seen the stories and the movies, and I think you can see that. But certainly it's work that needs to be done. The special operations community, most of it is supposed to be in secrecy. As of late, there's a little too much media, and I think the true professional, obviously, the silent professional, won't advocate or want to disclose anything that the public probably shouldn't know. We got to protect what we're doing, and you don't want the enemy to get wind of any initiative. It just makes it that much harder when you're forward trying to do good things and try to help the nation out. But it's been a great career. It went by quick, and there's quite a few experiences and stories that I'm very honored to be part of on that. And Gary, you were there, so you heard some of them.
I've heard them. and it's it's interesting because we've actually done this twice. We've had 3 prior Navy guys on the show twice in a row now. Now I think about it, because Bill Cartwright, another guy we had on, he was a naval corpsman as well. We don't do it on purpose. Trust me, people. It's just the way it works. It's just the way it works out. And I know that, especially with the things on TV, that's why I wanted to have you on too, is I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about what the special forces do, how they conduct their business, even though some of it is true, which is sad. It should not be out there. But there was a show, I don't know if you saw it recently, it was done in San Diego. It looked like they were somewhere near 32nd Street. It was, oh God, now I'm blanking. It was a SEAL. I think there was a Delta guy, or no, a Green Beret. Ranger, and it was called, oh God, Chambers, help me out here. It was on TV.
Is that where they had they paired a soldier up with a celebrity? I think
No,
Chris Kyle.
no. This was pure civilian guy. Girl,
oh, really?
And it was God, I want to say it's called the Initiation, but it's not. But they took a group of civilians out, and it was like a leadership course. They kind of did it as, and they ran these guys. I want to say it was 8 days.
Was it on the History Channel?
Yes.
That one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I know some of the.
I was going to say, I think you should know. One of the guys looked familiar, and I think Darrin knows that guy, or he's introduced me to him before.
Yeah, I know a couple of them.
Well, the one guy, the blonde hair, shorter, maybe a little shorter guy, younger. I think he was a lieutenant. Maybe.
I think so.
I think I've met him. But I was curious if you had seen that show, because it was pretty interesting to see these former Special Forces guys put these civilians through basically a mini BUDS. Is pretty much what it was. It was very close to BUDS. I mean, as far as the structure. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't as intense because none of these guys would have made it. But it was something to be seen. That's why I wanted to ask you, for anyone interested in that type of, career path, going into Special Forces, because there was a couple, well, mainly one young kid, that's what he wanted to do. He's like 23. The age range went from 23 to 45. And it was amazing to see the older guys, because we are. I mean, that's, I'm that. And I was looking at the shit these guys were going through, and the oldest guy made it. He was one of 3 that made it through the whole thing. And this poor guy, I mean, he was beat up. He was broken down. I mean, he just tough. And I was just curious to you see that, because he wasn't the strongest guy by any stretch. But he just persevered. And I was wondering if you could give anyone, a young kid who's looking to do it, any advice as far as how to prepare for any type of Special Forces, going through, whether it's BUDS, going through Ranger School, any of that. If you give me any advice on how to prepare.
Right. So the last 4 years in my naval career, served as this young enlisted advisor for SEAL qualification training, which is, the portion of the pipeline where we, basically qualify and pin the tridents on SEAL candidates, whether they become officially a Navy SEAL. So serving as the Master Chief in that billet, I've had this discussion quite a bit with quite a few candidates, as well as interested candidates before they join. But what I always tell people is, first and foremost, you need to understand what special operations are, what you're getting yourself into. There's enough information out there that's unclassified for you to get I think a good comprehension of what special operations are. It can, serving on the battlefield, no matter whether you're a spec ops or not, it can be tough. And I've served with conventional units on their mission sets where, it's tough, and they're going through real similar experiences. So, you're training to go to war, and you're training to conduct operations that may not be associated with a wartime environment. You're going to do things that really require specialized training and skill sets. We need people that can understand and make split decisions, good decisions in less than favorable environments. And you also need mature individuals that understand that and understand why special operations exist and why those missions need to be conducted. And once you get that down first, the rest is easy, in my opinion. I always tell people, as long, if you do not have a disability, you can train the human body to get through probably any type of training. So you just need to be committed and shape and condition your body to be able to do that. The hard part, though, is the mental fortitude. Do you really want to do this type of work, this type of profession above all? If you have any doubt, you won't make it. So, and that's what the attrition is designed to do, is weed those that are not serious, not completely committed to do that profession. The middle piece is the hard part. I saw stellar individuals, physical specimens, that just crushed revolution physically, but it got to a point where, mentally, they weren't ready for it. And, at the end of the day on the battlefield, it's a mental game. You got to be committed and be mentally stable in a position to be able to make those decisions. You should be physically capable and not have to worry about that part. It's pretty easy going to the gym and get where you need to be, in my opinion. But again, the mental fortitude. I've seen guys that got in and didn't last long either. It's a big difference making a career.
Heck yeah.
Profession and just being maybe a one-term enlistment. But everyone I've served with have been just pure patriots, quality individuals. I mean, a cut above the rest. Just a pleasure and honor to serve with these guys. And so any interest, candidate, certainly find out some information, and really you need to resolve yourself, and that's what you want to do with your life and be fully committed. That's always the tough part with people, but physically, again, there's enough information out there on the cardio side, strength training, conditioning, to where you can get prepared. And again, if you're pursuing a program, you'll find what those requirements are.
Yeah.
And be able to perform before you actually get in. So.
Well, and hopefully you get a good recruiter too. I remember Chambers. We had one guy in dive fair that didn't know how to swim.
Yeah,
he didn't know how to swim at all. And he gets there, and we're all looking at each other, going, "This guy doesn't even know how to swim. He never really been in the water." And I went, "This isn't going to go well." And it didn't. I don't know what he did. He had to drop out. He did. I mean, he was like, swim? Yeah, we were just kind of like,
stuck around very long.
Yeah, we're like, what the heck was this guy thinking? But, that's one thing I will say. I was not strong in the water, as Chambers knows. It was ugly in the water. If you're not strong in the water, you better go on to maybe a different special forces element than the sequels.
It's comfortability in the water too. It's I've seen strong swimmers not make training. We do a lot of different things in, on, and underwater, and a lot of it's not pleasant. We're putting you in extreme circumstances, and we want to see how people react and perform the standard. So being a strong swimmer is really a first step, but it's comfortability, being able to do a variety of things in the water, be comfortable in that environment. That's unforgiving. So,
yeah, I want to say that program was called The Candidate or something like that.
Oh, now you're figuring it out. Come on.
Maybe. Hold on. Okay, guys.
We'll have to Google it. Yeah.
No, I'm going to Google it right now just to make sure, because I don't want to sound like a jackass because I can't remember what the heck it is. But I think from what I saw from it, it's actually – I thought it was pretty close far as if someone was kind of looking at what the training would be. I thought it was close, and that's why I was trying to get your take on it, Darrin.
Yeah, but you can look at all the video and read all the books you want. I know this from experience.
Oh, no, I just was saying just to get an idea.
Yeah. I mean,
I thought it was pretty realistic. It's, they did what they could for the show, and obviously with any type of TV show, you have that Hollywood element that they have to pursue for viewership. But a lot of the evolutions weren't too bad. I think there were some similarities from things that we used to do certainly on that. But the other thing I failed to mention actually is when you look at any type of special operations force, it's you have to be a good team player. You got to be able to work in a team environment. It's mission first, then your teammate, then yourself. Always. If you put yourself before anything else, you don't belong there.
The selection, I found it. It took me a while. I watched every friggin' episode.
I only caught a couple. So
because I caught one in the second or third one, and I went, I thought, oh, this is gonna be stupid, like most of them are. But once I saw who the guys were who were actually in charge of it, I went, hold on, I might want to watch this. And I'll tell you what, they pounded that into these guys and gals' heads. Because what I liked about it, too, is it was guys and girls. And I'll tell you what, there's a couple females in there. They were tough. I mean, tough. There was one girl, I want to say she weighed 110 pounds, and she made it way deep into it. And if she wasn't so small, and comparably to what got her was the ruck. When she had to do the ruck evolution, it was back to back. And she did the first one. I went, holy cow. I went,
You'd
I
be
was surprised. Yeah.
We I've seen, real big guys could put up 315 like nothing,
Yeah.
not make it. But I've seen people real small physiques just crush it. It really is just that do they have it mentally? Do they have the mental fortitude to get through it? And can they gut it out? And have that attitude, team above everything. That mission accomplishment. That's critical.
Yeah.
It's a no-fail mission.
When you talk about the team aspect of it, I was in class 215, and I ended up falling off the slide for life and getting hurt. And it was, I rolled back to class 216, and my back problem was so bad when I did things. The team, because I was kind of new to that class, they didn't have my back like if I could have stayed with the team that I was in. So, the teamwork was big there, because when you go through all that stuff together, it's kind of amazing how well you bond. We got through
team dynamics are everything. You'll work with guys for years, and if you're a person that doesn't get along with other people, you're not going to survive that environment, and the team suffers. You have to be able to accept everyone for who they are, and everyone needs to understand that you help each other as a team. It has its strengths, its weaknesses. Everyone's a badass, but there's still strengths and weaknesses amongst the team and how you operate. And you need to come together so you can just, crush any mission that's handed to you and bring everyone home alive. And at the end of the day, have that desired effect that while you're out there on mission. So.
Well, that's why it's good to have you on here, because like I said, I've gotten asked a bunch of questions from younger people, and I go, hey guys, I wasn't in special forces. I don't, my taste of it was in boot camp, and that was about it. And with the TV stuff, they keep watching, they get on the internet, and I go, no, that's not it. That's not it. Don't believe in all that crap. And that's why I wanted, even though our demographic's older, I guarantee there's some parents right now whose kids are interested, and they're going to be going, okay, this was a good piece of information. Because, I just think it's the typical confusion by too much information. There's so much out there that I don't think any kid knows what to expect. And you can't tell you're there. Don't get me wrong. You know that better than anyone, Darrin. And I don't want to see people rush into something and do something that they're unprepared for. Right. I think the more prepared you are for it, the better. I know, my brain, it's Sunday night. It is not working right now. Lone survivor, help me. It's all blanking out.
Marcus Luttrell.
Well, they talked, him and his brother, how they, they're, I don't know if it's true, or I imagine it is, but they talked about how they were training for years, as teenagers, that they had a guy. I hope I got the right brothers. But I remember seeing something where they talked about where all through high school, that's all they wanted. And that's all they did was train in order to become a SEAL.
I was similar, I remember being a freshman, and, that was the decision I made is I'm going to do whatever it takes to become a Navy SEAL. It's just my goal in life. And you train where you can, again, train your body physically, get it where it needs to be. You got to be comfortable in a maritime environment, be a solid, strong swimmer. You got to be real strong just physically in general, but, cardio, you got to be able to do long distance runs and have the stamina to gut it out and do a variety of things. And I think the more well-rounded individual you are, the better chance that you will have. If you come into this like a bodybuilder, you're not going to probably make it. The skill sets required to operate, especially on today's battlefield and in other areas of operation. We need well-rounded men that can do any type of physical activity. You're going to be called on to do a variety of things. Not putting up a bunch of weights. You need to be able to get over walls. You need to be able to crawl around, get under things just the same, be able to carry your load, your weight load. So you need someone that can do everything, and I think that's important. Hollywood for sure has a misconception, I think. We all know that. But, every branch of service should have a website and a social media page, like the SEAL SWIC page, that will have the right information for candidates to look up and, be able to contact someone and get more information what requirements it takes for the candidates to join and be part of the program. And like you're saying, Gary, how do you train, and there's some basic information that people can look up. So,
well,
but again, everybody's body's different. So they need to take a look at who they are.
That's
and,
true.
At the time and where they need to. So,
and I wish somebody had told me, and I think which is important, is get your diet right. Because, even though I was in outstanding shape, I didn't know how to really eat properly. So when we got the buds, I would fill up on things that I probably shouldn't have been putting in my body when we would come in for that quick meal. I'd throw a Coke down my throat, eat a lot of breads and stuff like that, thinking that I needed that to carb up. And I would go out there and I would just have a dive bomb after about 10 minutes because I would blow all that quick energy. So I think diet is something they really need to learn before they go there. Get there.
Yeah, you get crappy fuel in an engine, and the engine's not going to run right.
Well, not only that, I think a real important thing too is training uncomfortable. And that's one thing that I never did. I mean, I could handle uncomfortable far as in a sports environment, totally different. If I would have known where I should have been when I went in, I would have trained totally differently. Because I'm the perfect example of what Darrin said. I was strong. I could lift weights. I could run decently. But when it came to everything else, far as understanding endurance and all that, I didn't have that stuff. I wasn't so good in the water. Actually, I was terrible in the water. I'll be dead honest with you. I just sucked in the water. And it killed me, but I didn't train to be uncomfortable is what I thought. The biggest mistake I made. I should have been running around in boondockers or anything equivalent of that. I should have been in Levi's or BDUs, a normal t-shirt, in the heat, in the cold. And I never did that. I always trained in the perfect sports. And that's what I was used to. I was an athlete. So I was used to, training, in the gym, when it's nice out. And if we played football and stuff, we played some acclimate weather here and there, but we only played in it. We didn't practice in it a whole lot. We only had to play in it here and there. So I think
you bring up a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being in uncomfortable situations, how does your body deal with it? How do you deal with it mentally? Certainly, you need to be comfortable in those situations. So being comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, if you will. But I definitely, but with people, you want to caution, training in extreme environments.
Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid.
Definitely. Get advice from professionals before you do that. But I agree with you. I think, it helps to, endure those situations, that are not ideal and see how you perform, because that's the nature of the job. I look back on all the missions I was fortunate to be part of, and most of them never went to plan. And little, if anything, ever does, right, in life. But how do you deal with those contingencies and again those environments that, for lack of a better term, just suck to be in.
And you're totally right, especially overseas.
But being comfortable and focused in it.
Overseas, I don't care where you're at, unless you're in Paris. And I'll guarantee if you're in an SF community, more than likely you're not going to be there unless you're catching a plane to go to the Middle East or some other shithole. And, I've spent time in the Middle East too, and it's uncomfortable. I mean, standing is uncomfortable. I mean, I couldn't even imagine, being, holed up out there and trying to, basically fight for my life on top of it. It's something that I think people, and they didn't think of it this way too. Now there's all these schools you can go to that former SF guys put on. I mean, they're like SF boot camps and all this stuff. We didn't have any of that back in I don't remember any. I mean, it wasn't, I think Marchenko was still running 6, wasn't he? Back when we were, I mean, think about it, right? I think he might have still been around. I think
he was on the tail end.
Tail end. But think of that. I mean, that's about, you had nowhere to go. Now you can actually research it. You got the internet. Shit, we didn't have the internet. I forget. When I was in high school and barely college, I think college was when I first saw the internet, and it wasn't much. You have all these resources, and I just would say if anyone's prepared, or parents too, who wants to set up a program, go out there and do the research and, kind of go through it. If you can get your kid, or you're a young guy looking to go in the military and have those aspirations, go to one of these 7-day, training programs run by former SF guys, and it'll give you a true clue whether you're the guy for that type of job. I think that's the safest way to go. I would recommend that over going in cold and not really knowing anything. And we had, you know, I'm sure, did you have people in your guys' classes that literally no clue showed up and made it through?
There were some people in my class, but very few. I think everyone had a decent concept or conception of what the job was like. But, you know, obviously you're never prepared until you get there.
Until you strap it on.
Yeah, I think the people today are definitely, there's more information that is available to them. And again, just get on the websites that are official, associated with, you know, whatever soft community, and they'll give you the right requirements. You know, and the way the pipelines are today too, the information's out there. They start preparing candidates early. You know, it's just a better business model at the end of the day to put the right candidate in, to try to get the right candidate output. You know, when I came in 1989, we weren't where we are today with preparing potential candidates and vetting them as well, you know. And then another thing too for candidates is, you know, stay clean, don't get in trouble. It's highly selective. Yeah. They're only going to take the best candidates. You have to compete to even get to the program to compete. So, yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. And again, that's where you really got to resolve yourself to wanting to do the job above anything. Those are the people that are committed, that succeed in that community.
Yeah. You know how they've changed since I know whenever I went in 97, they had just started this week-long course in Great Lakes where they would send you up there for a week and you kind of did a pre-class before you were actually approved to go to Buds.
That's right. I remember that.
Now I know that I think they have this whole system now. Do you know more about that?
They do. So the way boot camp's being run, all the SEAL candidates get put in a SEAL company. So I had the privilege of actually touring UTC when I was at the SEAL Enlisted Academy about, I think, 8 years ago. But yeah, so all the candidates are put into a special company in boot camp now, where day one they start, you know, obviously working towards getting in the program. And then like you're talking about the prep school, which I believe they may have changed it, but I think it was 5 weeks maybe. It's
it was
a little over a month now.
Yeah, it was a week.
Yeah, so it's definitely grown. The pipeline is grown a lot in recent years. So yeah, they do the preparatory course, and then they get to go to Buds, which is the A school now. You know.
So is there almost like a pre-graduation kind of thing? So kind of like how Dive Pharaoh was kind of set up. Dive Pharaoh was pretty informal, really, when you think.
Yeah, it was very informal.
It was pretty informal.
Show up and nobody gave a shit.
Yeah, you didn't have to show up. Yeah, and you weren't part of a company. You were still to your company, and that was it. You just showed up.
Yeah.
Right. And again, those were the days when SEALs didn't have a rating. So, you know, there's nothing but source ratings. You know, I was a radio man. So now you go in for the pipeline as an SO candidate, you know, like Buds is the A school. So for special warfare operators.
Wow.
So, yeah, so that changed those dynamics and structure on how the pipeline operates. And, yeah, I think it's come a long ways, and it's a good program, you know.
That's a great program. No, that makes a ton of sense.
I look at candidates today, and they're definitely, you know, I think they're more fortunate than we were, you know.
They got to be more prepared, because I remember there was nothing, literally nothing. I asked about it when I was signing up to go to boot camp, and I remember my recruiter said, figure it out in boot camp. When you get there, go ask someone. I'm all, okay. I mean, I got nothing. I got zero information, zero briefing. I said, is there anything I sign separately if I want to do this? Go and he goes, no. Just when you get to boot camp, go find whoever's teaching whatever. Go find a SEAL or something. I went, okay. And that's how I found out about the Dive Fair program is these guys were all in it, and I didn't even know about it. And I just showed up. But I remember afterwards, as I was getting ready to get out, guys were going through, and they still had their same rate, you know, same thing. It still wasn't a rated anything. They had worked in the fleet, and then they kicked out for their 1 week, and it was straight to Buds. I mean, there was no pass. You just went boom. Well, you may have got home, get your shit, and then you went out to San Diego. And so that makes a lot more sense, because I always wondered how you went into that, you know, cold, and really kind of, you know, because it is. I did hear that they do have a diet course. Is that true? Where they run you through proper nutrition, preparing for that, how to eat properly and all that?
Yeah, so there's definitely nutritionists that are associated with the community now. Um, yeah, really, the pipeline is, like I said, it's come a long ways.
Wow.
From A to Z. The candidates are given the information, the training that they need to prep themselves the best they can to start undertaking and commencing the training to go through the pipeline. And then really it's just down to the candidate, how bad do you want it? Do you have, what I term the chemical makeup to want to be a SEAL or any other type of special operations
Yeah.
force? I think it's like any profession, if you want it bad enough, find the information you need to find, prepare yourself, and resolve yourself to complete dedication and want to attain the position and that profession that you want.
Well, and you
Well,
may
no,
not make it the first time. And that's another part too, is if you want it bad enough, there's been things I've had to do in life several times over in order to get there. And I think that especially in the SF community, if you get, you rolled out, you go, okay, long as I take that back. If you ring the bell, you're not coming back. But, if you end up getting, injured out, you rolled back. I've known a lot of guys that they made it. It took them like twice as long to get through, and they got punished. I mean, because it's a long way to get through when you get rolled back a couple times, but they made it. They talked about it. And if you want it bad enough, that's a good way to say it, Darrin. You want it bad enough, you'll get it. It's one of those perseverance things, and it's the tip of the spear. It ain't going to be easy. It's the baddest of the baddest. And you got to figure you're not going to necessarily succeed right out of the gate. I'm sure you saw a lot of those guys, talking a bunch of shit, and 12 hours into the first day of hell week, they ring the bell, right? Like, I'm out of here.
You quickly see who are committed and who are not, and those that are willing to endure some pretty tough environments to get where they want to be, which is, in that case, that week's designed for that.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's people have to realize just because you didn't make it doesn't mean you're any less a person. It's just different things for different people. I mean, that's a tough deal. I've worked around special force, been around them all my life, did it in law enforcement, overseas stuff. It's just a different deal. But if you want it, you can get it. And it's one of those things though, but if you fail out, hey, that's life. Move on. Do something else. And I think that's what I want to get, just the last part we'll finish up with this, is that transition of taking the things you learn in the military leadership wise and transition. Cause I have a lot of actually veteran followers and some active duty too in what I do in my company. And I'd like to talk about, cause I get hit up with a lot of questions too, of the transition of taking that skill set and that leadership skill set and transitioning into a civilian life. And I'd like to hear your take on that. Cause I know you've taught professionally. Had groups and stuff and taught people.
Yeah, I think, especially when you spend a career at something, literally your whole adult life, there's things that are ingrained in you that are always going to be part of you, and you're not going to set aside.
Yeah.
But certainly it's the mindset you carry with you. It's mission accomplishment, whatever it takes to achieve whatever goal or task at hand. That's where I think, I've seen success with everyone around me, and me especially. You assess situation, you identify requirements, you figure out, several courses of action to get it done. I would never limit yourself to one course of action. Figure out a couple of different ways to do it, and then, you'll find out which way works best. But it's the mindset of mission accomplishment. And, on the leadership management side, it's evaluating the team environment. Find the people that are good managers, people that can work well with others, that are mission focused, that take care of other people. We talk a lot about mission accomplishment, but you got to take care of your team. If your team's not taken care of, they're not going to accomplish the mission. So, I've seen leaders, poor leaders not do this, and it's affected the mission. You got to take care of your people. You need good people, no matter what you're doing in life, to be able to accomplish whatever that common goal is. So first and foremost, invest in your team, and I think that's when you're on the outside, you may find yourself in environments where that's not the case. I think, I had the opportunity to do some leadership courses that were with the conference board on the corporate side. And so I spent several weeks at Gettysburg, and also did the Apollo program with them where we went to Houston and learned about the whole Apollo space program and, you know, the leadership and management challenges they had. I mean, that was a huge organizational feat, one that we definitely should be proud of. And really take a look at what those environments are. You know, what do you need to take care of your people? You know, if it's a less than desirable environment, well, how can you change that? You know, how can that be more of a productive environment? You know, you should continuously evaluate your environment. I think that's key. So when you transition, you may find yourself in an environment that you're not used to. You know, it may be less of an environment from your standard, what you were, you know, previously immersed in the military. But once you identify and you understand your environment, then you can work towards better resolution around you. Being a leader, certainly, you know, you got to lead a group of people to accomplish a common goal. But again, you got to take care of them. Yeah. You know, and that entails a lot of different things as a leader. There's obviously a difference between a leader and a manager. You know, that you need managers, but you also need leaders. So.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing you learn in the military that I took out of it is you learn how to follow. And there, you know, you hear some great leaders that say they were just born great leaders or something like that. There's very few of those that come out of the womb a leader. Every great leader was a good follower. And I think those are the skills in the military that you definitely learn because everyone starts at the bottom is the best way to put it. You know, no one's special in the military for the most part. You come in, you're all equal. You know, you got to do the job. You got to do it together. It's teamwork. It's small groups. It's large groups. You know, working with far different, you know, heck, me and Chambers in our first one talked about that. The first time I was integrated with people from all over the country was in boot camp. I hadn't been around that kind of grouping before, and it taught me a lot. It was a valuable life lesson on how to work with very different people from different backgrounds. And I think that's the thing you take out of the military. And for me, transition, I don't know about if you guys dealt with this, I had to learn how to throttle down. And that was the hardest part for me was you come out, you're used to leading, you know, you're used to taking charge. If you see something's all screwed up, you take going and get the hell out of my way. And, you know, you're wasting my time. And you don't use the best diplomatic skills, I guess is the best way to put it. Because I did it and I'll light fires. I'll catch myself to this day just going, get out of my way. I'm going to fix this. Just stand aside. And boy, you can really piss people off doing that. And I've done it. And it's hard. I catch myself, like I said, doing it to this day. You're just so highly wound and you want to get it done. You want it done right. And you're not trying to step on anyone's toes. You're just, it's what you're used to.
Yeah, you got to look at the environment. Yeah, I'm with you. That is a hard thing. I think, you know, that's a great point you mentioned. Throttling down, you know, conflict resolution, you know, just the task at hand. You want to crush it. You know in your mind what needs to be done. But again, how that's accomplished, you have to take a look at. You know, if you're being counterproductive and you're really starting to change dynamics, potentially culture in that process, then you're probably doing more harm than good. You got to figure out what's the best way in that environment to accomplish what you know probably needs to be accomplished. But that's the challenge, I think.
Yeah, you really have to know people's personalities too, because I work in a manufacturing environment, and as a leader in that field, you know, in the military, when you tell somebody to do something, they do it. Most of the time, they do it. They might complain while they're doing it, but they do it. But you know, the environment I work in, when I tell somebody to do something, I immediately start getting feedback. You know, and that's hard to do when you're in the military. Is to figure out people's personalities and how to work with them in a way that best motivates them to do their job. So,
well, what is that saying? A great leader is someone who gets someone to do something that they don't want to do and do it well.
Yeah,
basically. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. I'm sure I've got that screwed up or wrong, but that's the gist of it. You know, but yeah, that's good. I know we got off on a couple different topics here, but that's what this show's about. We kind of don't follow a specific format. We like to kind of get out in left field a little bit here and there. But Darrin, we really appreciate you coming on. I know you got other shit to get done. And Chambers, he's on the East Coast time, so it's midnight out there.
Midnight.
So he'll start nodding off here pretty quick. But remind everyone where they can go to donate and be involved in your charities and any events that you got coming up.
Yeah, definitely check out phoenixpatriotfoundation.org. That's the main website for the foundation. And then also phoenixpatriotband.com for the music program of the foundation. We list all the events there as well, and all the information you need. We'll be on both those sites. And yeah, like both pages on Facebook. We're on, Twitter, as well as Instagram. And again, help support the cause, and just appreciate to be partnering with a lot of other organizations that are helping Phoenix Patriot as well. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on again, Darrin. And anything else, Dwayne? You got anything, questions, or?
No, that's it. Just right. Everybody, thanks for sticking with us and listening. And I guess we'll see you next week. Hoo-yah, Master Chief.
All right. Thanks, gents. Appreciate the time.